This is Hayden Lerman from SHC TV, and today I'm very lucky to be joined by 8-0 Darius Fulghum ahead of his fight on the undercard of Ryan Garcia, Oscar Duarte on December 2nd at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. So yeah, mate, how have you been?
I've been good, bro. I mean, you have a good little intro, and I think that'll tell you how excited I am. Really going forward to this next fight. It's gonna be big.
Yeah, 100%, mate. So yeah, what I want to start with is how did you first get into boxing and what's your earliest memory?
So my earliest memory of boxing, honestly, was I never been like a boxing fan, like growing up as a kid. My dad said he was into boxing, but we didn't really watch fights growing up or anything like that. My earliest memory of boxing was actually there's a show called George Lopez, and his son wanted to box, and he took his son to the boxing gym. And that was my first time. I was like, man, like, boxing looks pretty cool. And so I remember telling my mom I wanted to take me to the boxing gym. I was like maybe like in third grade at the time. And long story short, I don't know why we didn't sign up, but kind of thankfully that we didn't because I didn't have the mindset at the time. I probably would have got beat up in the gym, and I would have quit that same day. So it wasn't until like my senior year of high school I kind of got back interested in doing it again. Um, and so that's when I started.
Okay, so then you went on to have a very, very, very decorated amateur career. You were even going to fight in the Olympics in 2020, but then obviously coronavirus came along. So talk me through your amateur career. What was that like, and what accolades over time did you achieve?
Yeah, my amateur career was had a lot of ups and downs. At that point in time, I was in college, and I didn't have like the freedom to move around how I wanted to. I was getting my degree in nursing, and it was very challenging to go to these major tournaments because they were week-long tournaments, and I couldn't get out of school for an entire week. School was already hard enough as it is, and that was my number one priority. But I actually lucked out on a lot of situations, and I was able to go to some of the major tournaments. So while I was in school, I had won National Golden Gloves 2018, and then I graduated college May of 2019. Then I went on to go to the Olympic trials uh, the end of that year in December, and I won that. At that point, then I was on Team USA. And I was a Team USA for a couple of years, while the coronavirus was going on, and we're in the middle of the pandemic. So I got a lot of experience from that, competing a little bit internationally overseas, and so I got like a bulk of my experience from was during that time.
So then 2 years ago, you made the switch to pros, ditching the vest, ditching the head guards, smaller gloves. So what was that transition like for you?
Transition has actually been pretty great. Like I said, I've always had more of a pro style of fighting than an amateur style of fighting. Um, and so the transitions for me has actually been phenomenal. I did extremely well in the amateurs, um, but that type of style of fighting is not me. Um, so there was like a little adjustment period, getting used to the gloves. The gloves are a lot different. I will say that for sure. I remember my debut. Before I went out there, I remember I was like hitting myself a little bit in the face, and man, I tell you, that was like a quick reminder. I was like, man, you better not get hit this fight. As time goes on, got a lot more experience, and I'm still learning the pro game as it is. Still trying to gain valuable experience, but it's been a good transition for me for sure.
Obviously, this upcoming fight, how did this fight come about? Because I'm right in saying you just come off a win last month in October. So how did this fight come about? Because you've been very active this year. I think this will be your sixth fight. Am I right in saying this year?
Yeah. This be my sixth fight this year. My whole goal is to be extremely active. Beginning of my career, I wasn't as active as I wanted to be. Um, Now I had the luxury, I started back fighting again. April 29th was my first fight this year. And I've been trying to crab and fighting. It feels like almost every month. Like it's weird. I just fought, but this feels like my longest break in between a fight. And then I mean it really is, let's see, like 2 months. Um, but the fight came about. I mean, I did my thing. My last fight, I got a first round stoppage against a tough veteran. And this fight was a perfect situation for me. I live in Houston, Texas. This fight is in Houston, so the timing of it couldn't have been any better. So it just made the most sense.
How's training been for this fight? Have you been training it differently to any of your other fights?
I wouldn't say anything necessarily really changed as far as my training go. My training intensity is always maxed out, so my training intensity is the same. Um, but I've been trying to incorporate a lot more different other things, on just um, getting better nutrition, focusing a lot on the recovery aspect of my training, with all the little things, as far as the stretching goes. I've been getting good quality sparring. Been sparring with Dave Morrell at this camp, and so it's been great experience. Because unlike other camps, I may not have had access to great sparring, but I've been getting good sparring this camp.
How much do you know about your opponent? Because I couldn't really find anything on him. Do you even know like who you're fighting at the moment?
Yeah, I do know who I'm fighting. His name's Pacino Hill. I've seen him fight a couple times before. He's another guy. He's been there with some prospects. All his losses have been to undefeated guys. But I know he's a type of guy that's going to come to fight. He's a type of opponent that'll really, I feel like, give me the opportunity to really showcase myself against. To really show the world who I am. Um, like I said, he has a kind of still like a so-so record, but he's not like a lay down type of guy. He's a guy that's gonna really kind of bring it, coming to win. So I think he'll be a good opponent to really bring the best out of me.
Yeah, 100%, mate. So what do you think a win would mean to you in the future of your career going forward if you get the job done on December 2nd? Obviously, you just said that the fight's in your hometown. What do you think it would mean to get the win in front of so many of your home fans as well?
Man, like this is really feel like my homecoming. Honestly, I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, I never knew when I was gonna fight at home, especially on a big card at a huge stadium. Um, while my career is kind of now really starting to really take off seriously, you know, I think there's going to be a lot more hype kind of built behind me. And I'm excited that I can have a lot of my fan base, my local fans, really be there to support me along the way. So it means everything. Like I think I owe the fans of Houston a great performance to show like that Houston boxing is where it's at, and that we can bring some more big fights back here in Houston in the future.
That means you keep kicking on, getting more fights in 2024. And where do you think you see yourself in the next year? Obviously, with a couple of weeks ago in October, you signed with Golden Boy. What do you think that means for you in the future of your career? Do you think that means you keep kicking on, getting more fights in 2024? And where do you think you see yourself in the next year? Obviously, with that signing.
Yeah, absolutely. Golden Boy throws on a lot of events. So I see myself being extremely active with them and fighting a lot, especially, next year. And hopefully, everything goes according to plan. And by end of next year, I'll be in a good position to really be on a getting close to that contender status, where I can be getting close to taking these bigger fights and fighting bigger names. Um, where I can start being in a position to be fighting for an eliminator or something like that.
Okay, so that sort of leads me on to my next question, and that's what do you think your end goal is in the whole sport of boxing?
My whole end goal, is not something as simple as just being a world champion. I feel like it's very limited, and I feel like there's a lot of people who become world champions that are forgettable, right? And my main goal in boxing is I want to be generational. And what I mean by that is I want to have my name mentioned with other generational fighters. When you think of generational fighters, it's fighters that everybody knows. Somebody's a kid out here that's like 7 years old. They know Muhammad Ali. They know Mike Tyson. They know Floyd Mayweather. They know Leroy Jones. You know, and Oscar De La Hoya. Like there's certain names that they're going to always live on, and so I want to submit my name amongst those. Um, so not just simply winning a world title. I want to submit my legacy in the sport.
100%, mate. So that's all the questions I have for you. But thanks so much for your time, and I wish you the best of luck with your fight on December 2nd. And I hope we can do it again sometime.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your time too. Thank you.